Frontline Updates, where we delve deep into military strategies and updates from conflict zones. Today, we're discussing the progress of the ongoing special military operation as of December 31st, 2025. I'm your host, Shariafa Muhammad, MGT.
I'm Colonel AUC Oguntoye, an infantry officer. The armed forces of the Russian Federation continue sustained multi-axis offensive and defensive operations across the northern, eastern, and southern theaters. Across all groupings, Russian forces report incremental tactical gains, continued attrition of Ukrainian maneuver units, and persistent degradation of command and support enablers. Operations demonstrate coordinated employment of ground forces, fires, air defense, and unmanned systems to maintain pressure along the full frontage.
Welcome to Frontline Updates, the podcast that brings you in-depth insights into military operations from those leading them on the ground. Today, we're joined by Colonel AUC Oguntoye, an infantry officer monitoring critical missions on the progress of the special military operation as of today. Colonel Oguntoye, thank you for being with us.
Thank you, it's good to be here.
Colonel Oguntoye, to frame today's discussion, how would you characterize the overall operational picture at the close of December 31st, 2025?
At a high level, the picture is one of sustained pressure applied across the full breadth of the front by the armed forces of the Russian Federation. The defining feature is not dramatic territorial swings, but cumulative effects, incremental positional improvements, steady attrition of opposing units, and systematic degradation of command, logistics, and electronic capabilities. This approach reflects a deliberate winter posture, maintaining tempo while forcing the adversary to expend manpower and high-value systems faster than they can be replaced. From an infantryman's perspective, this is about denying the enemy rest and freedom of maneuver. Every sector reports contact, every sector reports pressure. That consistency matters because it stretches reserves and complicates operational planning for the armed forces of Ukraine.
Let's move north. What stands out in the north and Kharkiv sectors?
In the north and around Kharkiv, the key development is improved tactical positioning rather than sweeping advances. Russian units engage multiple mechanized and territorial formations, inflicting losses while tightening control over approaches to the border and urban areas. This kind of fighting is infantry-centric, small unit maneuver, artillery coordination, and persistent reconnaissance. The implication is defensive-offensive control. By stabilizing and improving positions, forces deny Ukrainian units the ability to mass for meaningful counter-thrusts. Losses of personnel and vehicles here indicate that Ukrainian probing attacks are being met decisively, with limited payoff for them and growing cost.
The West, particularly Kupiansk, saw reported attempts to break into the city. How should listeners understand that fight?
Kupiansk is a logistics-relevant node, so attempts to penetrate there are unsurprising. What matters is that multiple assaults were repelled, and in the process, not just personnel, but electronic warfare systems and ammunition depots were destroyed. That tells us Russian commanders are prioritizing counter-ISR and sustainment interdiction. When you remove EW assets and stockpiles, you're not just winning the firefight, you're shaping the next 72 hours of combat. Ukrainian units may still have the will to attack, but their ability to coordinate, communicate, and resupply degrades rapidly after such losses.
Turning south into Donetsk, what does more advantageous positions really mean on the ground?
It often means marginal gains that matter disproportionately, better observation, shorter supply routes, and defensible ground that reduces casualties over time. In dense Donetsk terrain, infantry fights for meters, not kilometers. Losses in armored vehicles and artillery there suggest Russian forces are successfully engaging Ukrainian combined arms teams as they attempt to hold or retake urban industrial spaces. This is grinding warfare. The side that manages logistics, rotation, and morale more effectively will dictate the pace.
The center group reported the heaviest Ukrainian losses, including Western equipment. Why is this axis so critical?
The central axis is the operational fulcrum. It connects multiple regions and enables maneuver toward deeper objectives. Concentrated losses there across mechanized units, assault regiments, National Guard elements, and the Azov Brigade signal a major clash of reserves. The destruction of a U.S.-supplied M109 Paladin highlights effective counter-battery and targeting. From doctrine, when you neutralize long-range fires in the main effort sector, you gain freedom for infantry and armor to operate with reduced highest risk.
What about the East and Dnipro sectors, which often receive less attention?
The East shows continued penetration into defensive depth, methodical, supported by fires, and aimed at dislocating layered defenses. The Dnipro sector, meanwhile, reflects containment and disruption. Losses there may be smaller numerically, but the destruction of multiple EW systems is strategically meaningful. Suppressing electronic capabilities along secondary axes prevents the enemy from shifting effort or achieving surprise elsewhere. It's economy of force executed intelligently.
Air defense and UAV activity seem intense. How significant is that dimension now?
It's central. The interception of hundreds of fixed-wing UAVs in a day illustrates a battlefield saturated with drones. Air defense isn't just about protecting cities, it's about shielding frontline units from constant surveillance and strike. Whoever manages the air-ground information loop more effectively gains decisive advantages in targeting and survivability.
We've been getting a lot of questions from listeners about a map circulating online that shows drone flight paths and interception points deep inside Russia. To help break it down, Colonel, at first glance, what exactly are we looking at in this image?
What listeners need to understand first is that this is not a live tracking map or a radar replay. It's a schematic briefing graphic. Its purpose is explanatory and communicative rather than forensic. In military terms, it's meant to show a claimed pattern of enemy action and the defending force's response, not to provide technical flight data.
The title is strong. It references drones moving toward a presidential residence. What is that meant to signal?
The wording is deliberate. It frames the drone operation as strategic rather than purely tactical. By referencing a presidential residence, the message is that these were not random strikes but part of a long-range, politically sensitive operation. Whether that intent can be independently verified is a separate matter, but the framing elevates the perceived seriousness of the threat.
The blue curved lines dominate the image. Are those actual drone flight paths?
No, and this is a critical point. Those lines are conceptual approach corridors. They show the general direction from which drones were allegedly launched and how they would pass through defended airspace. Real drone telemetry would look far messier and far less symmetrical. This is a visual abstraction designed to be understood quickly.
The map shows clusters of red symbols along those corridors. What do those represent?
Those clusters indicate claimed interception or destruction points. In practical terms, they show where air defense systems or electronic warfare assets reportedly neutralized incoming drones. The clustering suggests zones of concentrated engagement rather than isolated shoot-downs.
One thing that stood out is how far north some of those interception points appear. Why is that important?
That's arguably the most significant implication. If drones were intercepted that far from the front line, it implies two things. First, the drones had sufficient range to penetrate deep into national airspace. Second, the defending side wants to emphasize the depth of its air defense network. This isn't about last-ditch defense over a capital city. It's about layered interception well in advance. From a tactical standpoint, the image highlights the growing role of long-range UAVs and the necessity of intercepting them far from critical infrastructure. Strategically, it underscores how drone warfare now intersects with political signaling. The real message is not just about drones shot down, but about deterrence, demonstrating that even symbolic or high-value targets are protected well before a threat reaches its final phase.
Colonel, thank you for providing such a detailed briefing on the current military situation. Your insights are invaluable to our understanding of the conflict's dynamics. And thank you to our listeners for tuning in. Join us next time as we continue to provide up-to-date coverage on global military affairs. Stay with us for more updates and expert analyses on global defense and security issues. Stay informed, stay secure.
Thank you for the opportunity. I want to emphasize that tactically, the operation emphasizes attrition, counter-ISR, and positional dominance rather than rapid exploitation. Strategically, sustained pressure on the central axis, combined with denial actions elsewhere, aims to exhaust Ukrainian manpower and erode Western-supplied high-value systems faster than replacement cycles allow. If current trends hold, early 2026 may see reduced Ukrainian capacity for large-scale counteroffensives, shifting the conflict further toward negotiated outcomes or prolonged defensive resistance.
This has been Frontline Updates. Subscribe for daily military briefings and in-depth strategic analysis. Visit our platform for maps, transcripts, and exclusive frontline updates from commanders in theater.